Clapperboard, Intro. The Hidden Truth About Attraction. Part 1. Introduction. The Truth About Attraction and Misconceptions. Introduction. What most men never realize. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room, minding your own business, and noticed someone acting a little differently around you? She stumbles on her words, glances at you, then quickly looks away, or just seems overly aware of your presence. What if I told you that wasn't just in your head? In fact, many men walk through life completely unaware that they are the subject of someone else's secret admiration. They don't realize a woman may be thinking about them, analyzing their every move, and silently wondering if they even notice her back. The misconception. What attraction isn't. There's a popular idea that women are primarily drawn to flashy confidence, loud personalities, expensive cars, designer watches. Hollywood often sells us that narrative. But according to modern behavioral psychology, this belief is deeply flawed, because real attraction often doesn't announce itself. In reality, what draws many women in is something much quieter and far more authentic. It's the man who doesn't try to impress, the one who listens more than he talks, who carries himself with calm, unshakable confidence, a man who is grounded and completely himself. The reality, subtle confidence is a magnet. What's truly fascinating is that this type of man often has no idea he's being noticed. Why? Because he isn't performing. He's not seeking approval. His energy feels safe, present, and unfiltered, and that's exactly what makes him magnetic. Ironically, women who are drawn to this kind of man may become nervous or even intimidated around him. Not because he's loud, but because his presence feels real. And realness creates vulnerability. Closing thought, a quiet power. So here's the truth. Being attractive isn't about being impressive. It's about being in alignment with your values, your energy, and your sense of self. In the next part of this video, we'll explore 7 subtle signs a woman may secretly have feelings for you, and how to recognize the clues most people miss. Part 2. Body 7 Signs of a Secret Crush. 1. She gets nervous around you. Introduction, subtle emotions, visible signals. Let's begin with one of the most overlooked, yet revealing, signs of secret attraction: nervousness. Now, nervousness may not seem like a compliment at first glance, but in the world of nonverbal communication, it often says more than words ever could. When a woman is secretly drawn to someone, her body tends to speak before her mind can intervene. Her voice might shift to a slightly higher pitch. She might fidget with her hair, stumble over words, or appear slightly flustered, even if she's usually confident and composed. These aren't just random behaviors, they're micro-expressions of heightened emotional awareness. And the common trigger? You. Why this happens, a psychological insight. From a psychological perspective, this kind of nervous energy is a reflection of internal conflict. On one hand, she wants to connect. She hopes you'll talk to her, notice her, maybe even find her interesting. On the other, she fears being judged, or worse, rejected. Her mind becomes overactive, anticipating how she'll come across. That tension creates hesitation. This creates a kind of emotional static, the same feeling many of us experienced as teenagers when talking to someone we admired. In fact, that's exactly what's happening here. You've triggered a youthful vulnerability in her. one that bypasses logic and goes straight to emotion. Recognizing the pattern, what to look for. Here are some typical cues. She laughs at things that aren't objectively funny. Her speech may speed up or pause awkwardly. She makes small adjustments to her appearance mid-conversation. She avoids sustained eye contact, yet clearly pays attention to you. Closing thought. Nervousness is not a flaw. It's important to interpret this sign with emotional intelligence. Nervousness doesn't mean someone is weak or unsure. It means they care how they're perceived by you. That level of care is a signal of significance. So next time you notice this kind of energy in the room, pause and consider. Maybe it's not discomfort. Maybe it's attraction trying to stay hidden. 2. She glances at you, then quickly looks away. Introduction. Eye contact is never just eye contact. Have you ever locked eyes with someone across the room, and the moment you caught them, they immediately looked away? That split-second exchange may seem like nothing, a coincidence. But for those who understand nonverbal cues, it can be a powerful sign of hidden attraction, especially when it's repeated, especially when it's paired with a shy smile, a moment of awkward fidgeting, or sudden interest in something else entirely. Let's break this down from a psychological lens. The psychology behind the stolen glance. Eye contact is one of the most emotionally intense forms of nonverbal communication. In fact, a prolonged gaze can trigger the same physiological responses as touch, increased heart rate, pupil dilation, even changes in breathing. So when a woman finds herself attracted to someone, but isn't ready to reveal it, her instinct might be to watch you from a distance. She's paying attention. How you move, how you treat others, how you carry yourself in social environments. But when caught, she quickly looks away. Why? Because sustained eye contact feels vulnerable. And vulnerability implies risk. The risk of being seen, misunderstood, or rejected. So the eyes dart down or sideways, almost as if to say, I wasn't looking, but I was. What this means, a hidden form of connection. Here's what to look for. Repeated glances in your direction, especially when she thinks you won't notice. A sudden smile when your eyes meet, followed by quick withdrawal, shifts in body language, crossing arms, touching her face, or fixing posture right after being noticed. These are not acts of indifference. They are often signs of someone trying not to show interest. Closing insight. Attention is a compliment in disguise. When someone looks at you repeatedly, but hides it, that says something important. You've captured their attention without even trying. And in a world overflowing with distractions, that kind of attention is rare and worth noticing. 3. She remembers the little things you say. Introduction. The unexpected power of being remembered. Have you ever been surprised when someone recalls something you said weeks ago? Maybe it was your favorite coffee order, a random comment about your dream to hike Mount Rainier, or a quiet confession that you've been feeling a little burned out lately. And somehow, she remembers it, word for word. This isn't just a good memory. In psychology, we call this selective attention tied to emotional salience. In other words, the brain prioritizes what it emotionally cares about. So when someone remembers the smallest details about you, it often means something much deeper is going on beneath the surface. The psychology of emotional prioritization. The human brain is constantly filtering information. We're exposed to tens of thousands of words and impressions every day, yet we only retain a fraction. So the real question is, why did she remember that thing about you? Because you stood out from the noise. Because what you said meant something to her. Because her brain flagged it as personally relevant. In emotional psychology, this is called cognitive tagging, when information is unconsciously marked for future relevance. This often happens in the early stages of attraction. Her memory becomes a way to prepare for deeper emotional intimacy, even if she hasn't fully expressed it yet. What this looks like in real life. You'll recognize this sign when she brings up a detail you only mentioned once. She recalls things others have already forgotten. She connects new conversations back to something personal you once shared. It might feel subtle, but it reveals a major truth. You've been mentally upgraded from background noise to emotional priority. Closing insight, being heard, is the first step to being loved. In a world where so few people truly listen, being remembered is more than flattering, it's meaningful. If she's holding onto your words, it's because, in some quiet way, she's already imagining a connection with you. 4. She finds ways to be around you, but makes it look accidental. Introduction, coincidence, or subtle strategy? Have you ever run into the same person at the gym, the coffee shop, maybe even at a random community event, so often that it starts to feel intentional? If it's someone you barely know, but they seem to keep appearing in your orbit, chances are it's not a coincidence. This is one of the most overlooked signs of a secret crush. When someone goes out of their way to be physically near you, while making it look casual and unplanned. Let's break this down using insights from behavioral psychology. The principle of proximity. Why physical nearness builds emotional connection. Psychological studies, including classic experiments from MIT and Columbia, have shown that mere exposure to someone increases emotional affinity. In other words, the more we see someone, the more we tend to like and trust them. This is called the proximity effect. And when someone is quietly attracted to you, they'll often leverage this effect in subtle ways, showing up at places they know you frequent, joining groups, events, or classes you're part of, striking up conversation over small, shared details, even if others could answer those questions more easily. It's a way of saying, "I want to be around you," without having to actually say it. What this might look like in daily life. Let's say you mention a local jazz bar you enjoy, and suddenly, she's just trying it out. Or you're at the gym, and she happens to show up at the same hour, several days in a row. She might ask you questions like, "Hey, do you know if this group always meets here?" when she clearly could have asked anyone else. None of these actions seem romantic on the surface, but they're strategic. They create natural moments of connection, while preserving deniability. Conclusion. When intentions hide behind coincidence. When someone wants to grow closer but is unsure how you feel, they often begin by managing proximity. It's safe, it's subtle, but it's also sincere. So the next time someone seems to just be around, pause and ask, is this truly random? Or is this the first move of something deeper? 5. She asks deep, personal questions in casual conversations. Introduction. When casual conversations go deeper than expected. Have you ever had someone ask you about your childhood, your life goals, or even your past relationships, all within what seemed like a light, Casual conversation? If so, pay close attention, because what might feel like just chatting could actually be a strong sign of hidden attraction. This is sign number 5 of a secret crush. When someone uses everyday dialogue as a cover to explore your deeper world, your values, your wounds, your dreams. Understanding the psychology. Why we ask personal questions. From a psychological standpoint, asking personal questions activates emotional intimacy, especially when those questions touch on identity, family, or values. According to studies in interpersonal psychology, conversations that move beyond surface-level topics increase feelings of closeness and trust. Here's what to watch for. She asks about your family dynamics, your childhood experiences, or what shaped you. She brings up your career goals, bucket list dreams, or even past emotional milestones. She listens closely and often remembers small details for future conversations. What's more telling is how she interacts with others in contrast, if her conversations with them remain casual. But with you, the tone consistently shifts into deeper territory. That's a meaningful clue. What's the intention behind it? This behavior is rarely random. Here's the truth. When someone is secretly attracted to you, they don't just want to flirt, they want to understand. By asking questions that reveal how you think and feel, she's assessing emotional compatibility, looking for shared values or potential deal breakers, creating a sense of emotional intimacy without appearing overly forward. It's a subtle form of vulnerability that signals, I care about who you are inside, not just how you appear. Conclusion: more than curiosity. So next time someone casually asks you, what was your childhood like? Or, what's something you really want in life? Recognize that this might not just be curiosity. It might be connection in disguise. It's one of the clearest signs that you've moved from being just an acquaintance to someone she sees as worth truly knowing. 6. Her body language faces you. Even in group settings. Introduction: when words say nothing, but the body speaks volumes. Have you ever been in a group conversation, maybe with friends, coworkers, or even strangers, and noticed someone who wasn't even talking to you, but their body was unmistakably oriented toward you? Their feet pointed in your direction. Their shoulders leaned slightly forward when you spoke. Even their torso subtly turned, as if magnetized. This is not random. It's sign number 6 of a secret crush. Her body speaks what her words might not. The psychology of orientation and focus. In the field of behavioral psychology, body orientation is one of the most unconscious, yet reliable, indicators of attraction. Research shows that when people feel drawn to someone, they subconsciously align their bodies toward them. Key signs to observe: feet direction, involuntarily pointing toward you, even when she's talking to someone else. Torso or shoulder lean, a subtle forward tilt when you're near, indicating openness and interest. Eyeline tracking, she may glance your way more often, and her posture subtly shifts when you move or speak. These behaviors are often subconscious. In other words, she might not even realize she's doing it, which makes them incredibly honest signals of interest. Why it matters in spoken connection. Body language is often more truthful than verbal communication. While someone may avoid expressing feelings directly due to fear of rejection, uncertainty, or social pressure, their nervous system doesn't lie. Here's the principle. We face what we value. Whether it's a person, an object, or even a goal, human beings naturally orient toward the things that emotionally matter to them. So if you notice that in every group photo, conversation, or shared space, she always seems to angle just slightly toward you, you might not be imagining it. Conclusion: listening without words. In relationships, sometimes what's unsaid is more powerful than what's spoken. If her words seem casual but her posture keeps coming back to you, take that seriously. Attraction doesn't always start with confession. Sometimes it begins with a quiet lean in your direction. 7. She engages more with your social media than others do. Introduction: digital attention is the new eye contact. Let's face it, in today's world, a lot of meaningful communication happens without a single word spoken out loud. You might not have talked in person recently, but she viewed your Instagram story within minutes. She liked a photo you posted last week, not just any photo, but the one where you looked relaxed, confident, real, and maybe, just maybe, she brought up something from your post the next time you bumped into each other. This kind of engagement isn't accidental. It's deliberate. It's sign number 7 that someone may have a secret crush on you, expressed not through confessions, but through taps, views, and subtle digital signals. Behavioral patterns to look for. In psychology, selective attention is a key sign of interest. When someone consistently chooses to engage with your content over others, they're making a decision, conscious or not, that you matter more in their mental and emotional world. Look for these patterns. Fast views. She consistently watches your stories within minutes of posting, even during work hours or late at night. Engaging comments. Her responses are thoughtful, not just emojis, but things that reference something you said or did. Offline recognition. She brings up online content during real-world conversations, showing she's paying close attention. These aren't just digital habits, they're markers of emotional investment. Psychological insight. Why this signal is powerful today. In earlier generations, eye contact and shared glances were the language of unspoken affection. Today, that gaze has shifted to screens. According to media psychology, digital engagement, when purposeful, is a form of parasocial signaling. That means, she may not message you directly, but her frequent interaction is sending you a clear message. It says, "I see you. I remember what you shared. I'm interested, even if I'm not ready to say it." Conclusion: the quiet signals of modern attraction. In a world where people often guard their feelings behind filters and silence, consistent social media attention becomes a new kind of intimacy. So the next time you wonder if someone might secretly like you, don't just look at their words, look at their clicks, their views, and the patterns behind them. Because love, in the 21st century, might just start with a story view. Part 3. Psychological analysis. Why women keep their emotions a secret. 1. Society and gender. Introduction. A quiet mystery in human connection. Have you ever sensed that someone might have feelings for you, but never said a word? No confession, no direct hint, just small signals, almost invisible, scattered across everyday interactions. When it comes to women, this isn't just individual personality at play. It's often rooted in a much larger pattern. one shaped by centuries of gender roles and social conditioning. In this video, we'll break down the psychology behind why many women express romantic interest indirectly, and how societal expectations play a powerful role in shaping emotional behavior. Socialization and gender scripts. From early childhood, women and men are taught very different things about love, desire, and emotional initiative. These teachings shape behavior, often more than we realize. Cultural programming. In many cultures, girls are raised to be chosen, not to chase. Taking initiative in romance is often discouraged or seen as inappropriate. Fear of social judgment. Direct expression can expose women to criticism, labeling, or even rejection, socially, not just personally. Reinforced romantic norms. Books, movies, and social narratives often portray women as the prize, not the pursuer. Think about it. How many stories show the woman making the first move? This isn't necessarily about personal insecurity, it's about learned behavior. And when a behavior is socially rewarded or punished, it becomes internalized. The shift toward indirect expression. So how does this play out in real life? Rather than express attraction openly, many women rely on subtler forms of engagement. This includes spending more time near someone, but not saying why, asking thoughtful questions without implying interest, engaging deeply on social media, but avoiding direct messages. Psychologists refer to this as covert relational signaling, a way to test emotional waters without confronting vulnerability. Conclusion: understanding the context of silence. When we understand the deeper cultural scripts that shape female behavior, we become better observers of emotional nuance. It's not always about what's said, sometimes it's about what's held back. And when it comes to romantic signals from women, silence often isn't absence, it's strategy. Want to dig deeper into how these indirect signs show up in modern life? Let's explore that in the next episode. 2. Optimal distance. Introduction: the paradox of presence and mystery. Have you ever felt someone was drawn to you, but they never crossed the line between interest and action? They're warm, present, even attentive, but still elusive. You're left wondering, do they like me? Or am I imagining things? This dynamic isn't just romantic ambiguity. Psychologists call it the art of optimal distance. And for many women, especially those navigating societal expectations and emotional safety, this subtle balance becomes the preferred, and often most powerful, way to show interest. What is optimal distance? In the psychology of attraction, optimal distance refers to the space where connection meets curiosity. Close enough to invite. She's responsive. She laughs at your jokes. She remembers the small details. Her presence signals approachability. Far enough to intrigue, but she doesn't overshare. She's not emotionally dependent. Her life feels full, with or without you. This isn't game playing. It's a strategic balance, an expression of interest that preserves dignity, mystery, and self-worth. Introduction: the paradox of presence and mystery. Have you ever felt someone was drawn to you, but they never crossed the line between interest and action? They're warm, present, even attentive, but still elusive. You're left wondering, do they like me? Or am I imagining things? This dynamic isn't just romantic ambiguity. Psychologists call it the art of optimal distance. And for many women, especially those navigating societal expectations and emotional safety. This subtle balance becomes the preferred, and often most powerful, way to show interest. What is optimal distance? In the psychology of attraction, optimal distance refers to the space where connection meets curiosity. Close enough to invite. She's responsive. She laughs at your jokes. She remembers the small details. Her presence signals approachability. Far enough to intrigue, but she doesn't overshare. She's not emotionally dependent. Her life feels full, with or without you. This isn't game playing. It's a strategic balance, an expression of interest that preserves dignity, mystery, and self-worth. Why this is so effective, especially for women. There's a deep psychological reason behind this approach. Evolutionary psychology. Research suggests that humans are wired to pursue what feels attainable but not guaranteed. It keeps the brain engaged, seeking clarity. Social conditioning. Women are often taught not to be too forward. So instead of pursuing directly, they send signals from a safe distance, often hoping you'll make the next move. Emotional safety. By staying just slightly removed, a woman can protect herself from rejection, while still leaving the door open for connection. This creates what behavioral scientists call intermittent reinforcement, a powerful psychological trigger that intensifies desire over time. Conclusion. Attraction is a subtle dance. True attraction isn't always loud. Sometimes, it lives in the pauses, the held-back compliment, the almost invitation, the kind of attention that says, "I see you, but I also see myself." Understanding optimal distance gives us a clearer lens on romantic behavior, especially in a world where direct expression isn't always safe or encouraged. Want to know how to respond when someone's keeping you in that curious space between closeness and mystery? Let's explore that in our next breakdown. There's a deep psychological reason behind this approach. Evolutionary psychology. Research suggests that humans are wired to pursue what feels attainable but not guaranteed. It keeps the brain engaged, seeking clarity. Social conditioning. Women are often taught not to be too forward. So instead of pursuing directly, they send signals from a safe distance, often hoping you'll make the next move. Emotional safety. By staying just slightly removed, a woman can protect herself from rejection, while still leaving the door open for connection. This creates what behavioral scientists call intermittent reinforcement, a powerful psychological trigger that intensifies desire over time. Conclusion. Attraction is a subtle dance. True attraction isn't always loud. Sometimes, it lives in the pauses, the held-back compliment, the almost invitation, the kind of attention that says, "I see you, but I also see myself." Understanding optimal distance gives us a clearer lens on romantic behavior, especially in a world where direct expression isn't always safe or encouraged. Want to know how to respond when someone's keeping you in that curious space between closeness and mystery? Let's explore that in our next breakdown. 3. Personality suitable for a long-term relationship. Introduction. More than just attraction. Have you ever been around someone who treats you with deep respect, listens attentively, and genuinely seems to value your presence, yet never makes a move? You might assume they're just being polite. But what if, beneath that composed exterior, there's actually interest, quietly guarded? In this segment, we explore a subtle but powerful reason why many women keep their feelings hidden. Long-term relationship assessment. It's not about shyness. It's about compatibility, emotional risk, and personal values. Hidden filters. Assessing long-term potential. For many women, attraction isn't based solely on appearance or charm. It's rooted in evaluating long-term suitability. Emotional stability. Does this person bring peace or drama into my life? Character and integrity. Do their actions match their words? How do they treat people when no one's watching? Consistency. Do they show up, follow through, and make others feel safe? Rather than expressing feelings early, women may observe silently, collecting subtle signals over time. This is a slow filter, not indecisiveness, but intention. Too good or already taken. Ironically, if you come across as emotionally grounded, kind, and purposeful, some women may assume one of two things. You're already in a relationship, so they hold back to avoid awkwardness or disrespecting boundaries. You're out of their league, a narrative shaped by self-worth, past rejection, or cultural conditioning. In either case, the result is the same. Feelings stay unspoken, not because they don't exist, but because they feel unsafe or unwelcome. This phenomenon highlights a cognitive distortion known as projection bias, where people assume others see them the way they see themselves, often underestimating their own appeal. Conclusion. Compatibility is a quiet process. Attraction isn't always loud or impulsive. Sometimes, it shows up as quiet evaluation, as thoughtfulness, as restraint. For many women, especially those seeking a lasting relationship, silence isn't rejection, it's reflection. So if someone is kind, consistent, and present, yet still distant, consider this. Maybe they're not uninterested. Maybe they're waiting to see if you're truly aligned before making a vulnerable move. Curious how to recognize these signs and respond with confidence? Let's dive deeper in the next segment. Clapperboard. Conclusion. Awareness and action. When someone secretly likes you. Introduction. Subtle attraction isn't always obvious. Let's face it, in the age of constant notifications, algorithms, and surface-level connections, real attraction often doesn't announce itself with fireworks. Sometimes, it whispers through a pause in conversation, a thoughtful comment, a glance quickly turned away. And if you've recognized some of these signs in your own experience, here's the truth. You might be the kind of person who naturally draws others in, not by chasing attention, but simply by being centered, kind, and genuine. 1. Why you might be misunderstood. Ironically, the very traits that make you attractive, calm confidence, emotional presence, and independence, can also make you appear unavailable or hard to approach. You don't seek validation, so others hesitate to offer affection. You don't overshare, so others aren't sure if you're open to connection. You seem content alone, so they assume you don't need or want more. This is especially true in the case of women, who are often socialized to wait, observe, and express interest in subtle ways. They may be watching closely, caring deeply, and yet never say a word. 2. What you can do without changing who you are. So what should you do if you suspect someone likes you, but they've never said it out loud? Notice the signs. Nervous body language, eye contact quickly broken, small acts of thoughtfulness, or comments that show they remember things about you. Open the door. A simple gesture, like inviting them for coffee, can be enough to shift the dynamic. You're not declaring love, you're creating space. Stay authentic. Don't perform or overcompensate. Your honesty and grounded energy are your strongest assets. Respond with respect. Whether or not you feel the same, treat their unspoken emotions with care. Vulnerability is never easy. 3. Final thought. Who might be waiting for you to notice? Here's a question worth pondering. What if someone, right now, is silently hoping you'll notice them? What if they've been dropping signs, waiting for you to pick up the thread? Attraction isn't always loud, but when we slow down and listen, we might discover that someone's quiet interest has been present all along, steady, sincere, and patiently waiting for our attention. Want help identifying more of these hidden signals? Let's explore that together in the next video. Remember to like, share, and follow the channel.